Trey Spruance, thanks very much for taking some time out of your day to have a chat with Sense Music Media. Bungle's going to be touring here in Australia pretty soon, in March. You're going to be doing it in support of The Raging Wrath of the Easter Bunny. It's a re-recording of your demo from 1986. What brought you out of hiatus to re-record and release that demo?
Yeah, good question. It's we happened to be Mike, Trevor, and myself were all in the same room for once. Probably had only happened once or something since the band stopped playing in, what was it, 2000? In Brooklyn, my band Secret Cheese 3 was opening up for Dead Cross, Mike's band, and Trevor was there because he lives in Brooklyn. And of course, Lombardo was there because he plays in Dead Cross. And, we're all just standing there, and Trevor just was like, hey, what if, because the idea of doing a reunion was still something that was kind of hazy for all of us. We just couldn't really, we hadn't really talked about it and just seemed kind of not in the cards. And he just floated this idea of what if we did that, go back, all of that music that people don't know about us. They don't think that we're really a death metal band, or they think that it was like, we're just kind of joking about that or something. Why don't we go back and really do that music justice with this guy on drums? That was the original spark, So it was like that idea just took, you know what I mean? Like we were all inspired by that and couldn't stop thinking about it after that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Honestly, that music, we all believed in it. And I think we're the only people in the world who did, and a few people who had the tapes and were trading that tape back in the 80s. Otherwise, people just thought of it as, it's like alchemy. It's like a weird little thing that you don't talk about that was like a precursor of science. Like this was a precursor of Mr. Bungle that, yeah, I guess they were kind of a metal band. Like, no, man, we were a fucking death metal band.
Because it's kind of Mr. Bungle's kind of one of those litmus test bands. When you're chatting with someone and first sort of scoping them out in their the music that they listen to and what bands they like, and if you mention Mr. Bungle and you see that little spark of recognition, you're like, yeah, this dude knows what's going on. And then on top of that, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, we pretty much just had the self-titled. We had Disco Volante, the California was the last major record you guys released. But outside of that, to hear anything else that you guys, it was trawling through the early internet using sites like Bungle Fever to find those demos and be able to get a chance to listen to, I guess, the original recordings of Wrath. I guess these days kids could probably just find it on YouTube. But back in the day, like to dive that little bit deeper into Mr. Bungle took a bit of effort.
Yeah, it's like you music nerd guys. I mean, it was great because those sites were available for people to do that kind of digging, and we ended up getting a pretty good chunk of really diehard fans from people digging around, doing their sleuthing about all of the different little tentacles, of unreleased Mr. Bungle stuff, which there's millions of. Like, I didn't realize, I was looking at one of those things a few years ago, and somebody had added up like all the cover songs that we had done.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I don't know, like hundreds of them, like just hundreds and hundreds of fucking cover songs. It was mind blowing. Like, it then made me realize, like, oh wait, if I was a fan, this would be totally overwhelming. Like, I don't even remember half of this shit.
I mean, even like just one off the top of my head, one of my favorites was like a bootleg of you guys playing, I think it was Snowcore or something like that, and you bust out like a Mario Brothers medley, and like I've just listened back to that so many times during my life. It's like the quintessential Mario Brothers.
We had a Mario Brothers medley as far back as probably, I think, 88 maybe. We were obsessed with Mario Brothers in the 80s, so I don't know. Yeah.
Ness is in your blood.
Yeah, well, I was credited with playing video games on the original Raging Wrath of the Easter Bunny demo. The guitar and video games.
Yeah, nice. A lot of the sample stuff as well on the self-titled. Yeah, there's a lot of video games represented in there as well.
Yeah, I think that the video games in the original on the Raging Wrath was referring to the fact that I was like playing weird atonal stuff on the guitar that didn't sound like guitar playing. But so Patton would say, "Do the video game thing," you know.
Don't have to ask me twice.
Yeah, I could do video games, man. You could do it better now.
Yeah, it's almost too good though. It loses a bit of its charm without that true, retro crush 8-bit sound.
Man, you're right. Everything loses. The more I don't know. It's not true that with the more fidelity, but if you don't know how to fill up speakers with
Hmm.
content that is appropriate to high fidelity, yeah, you're going to lose. If you're going from 8-bit to 96K, like you're not going to gain anything. You know, it's going to be all loss. Everything will be lost.
Just better recorded crunch. You mentioned before when talking about meeting up with the crew to discuss the reformation or the reunion that Dave Lombardo's in the mix. Now there's also another new face quite prominent for Wrath of the Easter Bunny or the Raging Wrath. That'd be Mr. Scott Ian. So how did he get involved, and what's it like being sharing guitar duties with him?
Yeah, I mean, it was that thing of like, I just said this to somebody else, but it's like, if you were to ask us in 1985, just take Mike, Trevor, and myself aside and said, hey, you know, if you could have your dream drummer, dream guitar player, who would they be for this death metal band playing this band? It would absolutely be Dave Lombardo and Scott Ian, no doubt about it. Like, there's no doubt about that. So, like, you know, when the idea came up in Brooklyn to do this again, of course, the next question a few months down the road was, you know, who are we going to get to play the other guitar? We didn't have a second guitar originally, but, you know, that's just because I was overdubbing. And then we didn't stick with that music long enough to play it live very much, so it never came up. But it was, you know, this is an issue. You got to have a second guitar. And I think it was Patton was like, what about Scott Ian? He knew him.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out when we got a hold of him, he actually had a cassette copy of that demo. Like, he had our demo and he had
Perfect.
listened to it back in the 80s. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm saying there's like a few crowds that had that demo in the tape trading circuit that were metalheads, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like a really great acknowledgement from him. Like, and he was down to do it. So it was unbelievable.
That sounds like a perfect marriage from some thrash royalty. So following on from that,
We're
then.
also very lucky because these are two gentlemen that fucking do their homework. Like, you know, this is not easy music to learn necessarily, to study, and they both dissected the hell out of it. Scotty, and like he's like a precision machine when it comes to figuring out what the riff exactly is. It's so great, so great.
Yeah, well, on the album, I mean, all performances from all musicians, look, as you'd expect from a Bungle record, it's pretty much fucking flawless. Uh, you mentioned again before Dave Lombardo. We've now also got Scott Ian involved in Mr. Bungle. Do you have any plans to poach members from Megadeth or Metallica as well then?
There weren't plans, but now that you mention it, yeah, I mean, but the thing is, we have all the bases covered already. What are we going to do? You know, like, I don't know who we would grab that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't need it.
Fit
Although
him
I
on
saw
there.
Robert Trujillo, he can play a mean disco bass. I just saw him a little while ago at Scott Ian's birthday, and he's a badass, like, funk bass player, really killer disco bass player.
Oh yeah, the guy is skilled up. I think I saw Infectious Grooves is coming to Australia soon as well, and I
Wow.
guess that's where you'd see a lot of Trujillo's more out there bass playing than what he's more so known for from Suicidal Tendencies and of course Metallica days.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. That's how my brain works. I had totally forgotten about Infectious Grooves, so it was a surprise when I saw him doing that. Like, whoa, who knew he could do that? Like, oh yeah, of course he could do that. Jesus, what am I thinking?
Yeah, man, just to have one of that man's fingers, let alone a whole fistful of them to do what he does, it's pretty amazing.
You know, and it's like the spirit of it. Like, he knows how to be a bass player and hold it down. Like, you know, not all metal bass players, metal bass, you know, could just shift gears and just be that guy. You know, he he's got it nailed, man.
Yeah, the guy is all over it. I recently watched a series by Geddy Lee. I think it was on Netflix. Don't quote me on that, Netflix. But basically, yeah, he's touring around and he's visiting a few other prominent bass players. Like he goes and hangs out with Les Claypool, who's another big hero of mine. He goes and hangs out with Trujillo, and like they just whip out one of Jaco Pastorius's basses and they're jamming on that. And so yeah, look, I know you're a guitarist, but we're going down bass land. But yeah, if you're a bass fan, or I mean, again, you're probably a fan of every facet of music. Yeah, there's one.
There's two right over there.
Represent. Yeah, if you haven't seen that, check it out because it's pretty damn cool little doco series that he put together.
Cool.
But back to the topic that we're actually here to speak about, which is your band. So we've now got a crispy clean, awesome modern recording of Easter Bunny. We talked a bit about the other demos, the other material that is still floating around there in the ether, such as Bowl or Bowl of Chili. I know most of the material from OU818 ended up being on the self-titled anyway, but yeah, any plans to go back and dig into the back catalog and record more of that stuff?
Problem now, we haven't. No, like I think something about the metal. There's something very timeless about that, timeless and approachable, whereas a lot of that other stuff is really a product of the time that it was in for us. I mean, even Carousel was on the first demo right after Raging Wrath of the Easter Bunny, so we had been living with that song for 7 years before we recorded it on our album. Can you imagine how sick we were of that song by that? So like a lot of those songs had a much longer life than the metal stuff did. And I think they played themselves out for us naturally. The metal stuff just didn't. It was just waiting for this moment.
And that's fair enough. But I suppose that still leaves those little treasure hunts that are available for people that are maybe only just discovering Mr. Bungle now. Not only do they have 3 other full length records to go and check out, but all this other stuff to go digging through the minefield and get their hands on.
There's a lot. And there's a lot in between the cracks, and there's a lot that people don't know about still. And that's all I'll say on that subject. But yes, we might do something with some of that stuff someday. I got a pretty good archive in
here. Fair enough. But shoot me any tips when and if you got them. So coming to Australia, you've also got some alumni, some former members that are living in Australia, at least at the last check, and as their updated Wikipedia articles say, such as Danny and Clinton. Is there any chance we might see them join you guys at all throughout the tour?
I would sure hope so. Like, I don't know that I floated this like a year ago when we were first talking about the Australia tour happening, and then I didn't really hear anything, and now there's been some talk. So we'll see what happens. I mean, we should do it. They're like, sitting right there, fucking jerks. What the hell are they doing? It's been 20 years, come on. 25 years. 24.
Round it up, round it down.
I've enlisted both of them. Like when my band Secret Chiefs came to Australia, we, actually I've flown Danny to the United States and done tours. When Secret Chiefs first toured Australia, I had both Danny and Bear with Secret Chiefs also. So I've been working with those guys on and off. In the meantime, there's no reason they shouldn't come to a Bungle gig.
Yeah, there's no reason no one shouldn't come to a Bungle gig. But yeah,
I'm not the boss. I'm not. I can't just tell people to do things. I wish I could, but I can't.
I think your influence travels far and wide, though. So Secret Chiefs 3 as well. That's another thing. There'll be multiple members of that project floating around and available while you're here. Any plans for any secret, sneaky sideshows?
My plate, you can't imagine how full it has been. I wish my original plan a year ago when I was talking to Bear actually about this was, I wanted to do a bunch of recording when we came out there for Mr. Bungle, stay in Australia for a while, maybe record those guys on some Secret Chief stuff. but nothing ever came of those plans. So now I'm doing a ton of recording all over everywhere else, and time is just getting really short, unfortunately. I also have friends in Australia I would love to see, like but there's like no time at all. There are great, really interesting musicians in Australia that I want to work with, and I don't have time to do that either. It's kind of getting a little frustrating. I'm gonna have to. The bottom line is I have to come to Australia just to spend time with them and with Danny and with Bear and like get some stuff done. Because there's no way to just cram it in like a day or two. There's no way.
Yeah, nothing gets in the way of life like life.
Yeah, exactly. I know, and I shouldn't be complaining about it. It's very first world problems, isn't it?
Good problems to have, though, in some sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's various members of Secret Chief 3 that'll be floating around. Another combination that is possible because you guys are touring with the Melvins, and that King Buzzo is going to be there. So Mike's going to be there, Trevor's going to be there, Buzzo's going to be there, Lombardo's going to be there. Could you ask them to do a sneaky Phantom Ash show for me, even if they want to do a house show? I'd be willing to loan up my rooms.
I like that it's like, yeah, like they can just, hey, you guys remember that whole, like enough material to do a whole Phantom Ash show? Yeah, sure. I remember like it was yesterday. Like, yeah, right. They're going to do a Phantom Ash show. Come on, man.
Oh, seriously, those guys could just ad lib, man. Don't kill my dream. Don't kill my dream.
I mean, it's the same with Secret Chiefs. I wish I could just make it happen. But even like, you got to rehearse people. There's a lot of moving parts.
As long as they keep moving in the right direction, then that's a good way. To my place.
We could play the 12-bar blues for like 2 hours. I don't know if that's moving in the right direction.
But dude, I'd take it.
All right. In a way, that's what the bungle thing, going back to our death metal, is for us. I was saying to somebody earlier, that's for us. That's going back and doing the 12-bar blues. Like that's what boomers, when they go back, let's just jam. They play the 12-bar blues. Like for us, saying let's just jam is like playing Metallica Kill 'Em All, play the standard stock riffs and thrash metal records from 1985. Like that's essentially what we're doing. We're going back to our 12-bar blues.
Yeah, let those riffs and licks fly.
Although they're weird. Ours are weird. I learned that ours are weird. We used to think like, oh, this is like Slayer, this is like Possessed, this is like Anthrax, and our riffs are totally not. We thought they were, but they're not. They're weird. They're weird. Unfortunately, they're weird.
Well, that's inherent of Mr. Bungle, and for me, what makes it so endearing.
I think that you can liken this to like, the tragic kid who's trying to be normal. You know what I mean? Like we thought that we would fit in. Like in our imagination, we're a death metal band, and we would fit in with all those bands, Sadist, and all the Bay Area thrash metal records that were coming out. But no, we wouldn't have fit in at all. It was totally off. Totally wrong.
Yeah, but then makes you completely unique to all of those bands.
Well, now we can pretend like we did fit in, because now people have to accept that this is part of metal history because we have Scott Ian and Dave Lombardo doing it. That's the magic trick right there.
So you've snuck it in there, etched into the pantheon.
Yeah, it's revisionist history. You could say, yeah, this is what metal sounded like back then. Like, no, it's just what our crazy idea of it was. But now we proved our crazy idea, and that's revisionist history for you.
Remember when we were at war with Eurasia and Mr. Bungle put that thrash album out?
Exactly. Remember when there was a thing called Eurasia? I remember.
We've always been at war with Eurasia. So yeah, clearly I froth your entire discography. The self-titled album being one of my all-time top 10 records. Aside from the music itself, it features artwork from a book called Cotton Candy Autopsy, and inside there was like a mural. I had the CD version, so I couldn't imagine if you had LP, it would have been an awesome gatefold of this really intense artwork by an artist called P. Earwig. just for my own sake, and I've been staring at that artwork for, again, over 2.5 decades, always seeing something new in there that I haven't seen before. Do you have any recollection of how that artwork came to be? How'd you get your hands on it?
Oh, he did it for us. We knew him. In fact, I have an original of his downstairs that didn't make it into any of our releases, but like just as crazy, maybe crazier, but just black and white, just ink, black ink. He's a lunatic. I believe he was in the Pacific Northwest. I believe he was from Seattle, maybe. And he was like a friend of ours who we met him through the tape trading stuff. And when we switched gears and started doing the, being a little bit more adventurous, he kind of followed us through that and made us aware of, his abilities. And we commissioned him for that piece, actually, for that record.
Yeah, sick. Yeah, I mean, because clearly, remember there's like balloons or bubbles in it that have Mr. Bungle written on it. So unless that was a quick like etching that he did after, then yeah, that was definitely custom made artwork. The only other thing oh, sorry, Trey.
No, 100% custom artwork with him thinking about us, probably listening to our music. And I mean, to be honest, this is a person who's probably taking lots of mushrooms. I seem to remember that about him. It's very, very strange. These artist types.
Because yeah, the only other artwork that I ever found from his, I used to, and I hope I've still got it in storage, a comic book that he made called The Stoned Pope that was, yeah, very, very out there and very, very bizarre. But that's the only other thing that I've ever been able to find from that artist. Yeah,
I don't know that his name is actually Earwig, so I don't. We haven't kept up with him. I don't know what his real name is.
Well, P. Earwig, if you're out there, if you're listening, get in touch with Trey. Get in touch with all of us.
I mean, I have, like I told you, I have one of his originals. He sent it to us. It's based on the song "Mr. Nice Guy" that we never recorded.
Yeah, yep.
It's a beautiful piece. Very, very sick, psychedelic, pornographic, terrible thing. Really nice. One of a kind. I got it. Highest bidder.
Well, yeah, look, you got me tempted, to be honest. You got me tempted. As well as the Easter Bunny tracks, I've seen videos online of you performing songs from other albums during this run of shows. Are there any tracks that you've been working on adding into the set?
We're in talks right now about what we have never done, like, new stuff that we haven't done on other tours. So yeah, we're figuring it out at the moment. Every time we tour with this thing, we always get a few new things going.
Spice it up, keep it fresh.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's cool because it's been getting better. Like our repertoire of non-thrash metal is getting bigger and bigger the longer we go with this configuration. And it's kind of reminding me of, like, back in the old days when we were expanding our horizons from being just a metal band. Mm-hmm. We're sort of doing that again. Like, oh, maybe we can do something besides just metal.
Like Carousel. Well, I'm guessing Carousel probably won't be the track that we hear.
Not from our repertoire, because we're not advanced to that point yet. We haven't evolved to that point. We're still playing cover songs. It's going to be a long time before we are smart enough to play Carousel.
So maybe there's that grain of hope that there'll be the resurgence of that one then. But other than that, I can't wait to see what you guys cook up for us here in Australia.
I wouldn't expect, you shouldn't expect anything from the 90s, really. I think we have one song that we do, that's like a section of, but yeah, it's like what we were saying, like, oh yeah, play Phantom Oz, just play a whole Phantom Oz record. Come on, you guys, you remember. Like for this, it's like, oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, give us some of them purr-pum-pahs.
I mean, like, we don't have the keyboard that has like 6 channels of samples and different sounds assigned to MIDI controllers all over the stage. We don't have a percussionist. We don't have Danny on drums. We don't have Bear playing flute, playing percussion, doing backup vocals, and playing keyboards. We don't have a keyboard player assigned to all of the sample triggering. I don't have keyboards that I play and all the analog synthesizers. I don't have a mic to do the backup vocals. Patton doesn't have a big rig of his noise sounds and his little keyboard. Like, come on, how in the fuck are we supposed to play one of those old songs, man? Like, no, we can't. It's not going to fucking happen.
And again, absolutely fair enough. But man, don't kill the dream. Come on.
Okay, let me have you do this. In Dr. Parallax, get five. How many band members are there?
There's four of us.
Okay, guitar, drum, bass, vocals.
We're an instrumental band, so you don't have to deal with that.
Okay. Okay, good. So just forget the vocals. Is it two guitars?
Yeah, two guitars, bass, drums.
Okay. So with your two guitars, bass, and drums, try to play any song from 90s Mr. Bungle besides everyone I went to high school with is dead. Just see, just try to play it. Try to make it sound good with that instrumentation. I'm really curious to see how that goes.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
Um,
because we wouldn't do it any fucking better, believe me, man. You need all that other shit. You can't just do it's not guitar music. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not fucking guitar music at all.
Yeah.
This shit. The fucking Raging Wrath, yeah, it's all guitar. Of course, we can do that. You guys could do that, you know, but
Can you practice, but maybe.
No, you can do it. I mean, it's guitar music, but like, you know, trying to do this stuff that's like richly orchestrated, totally, you know, arranged music with all these instruments. It's not a two guitar band thing. You can't do it. It can't be done.
No, I completely get and understand that as well. Yeah, if any of us are ever asked by friends, family, whatever, oh, there's a guitar there, pick it up and play something. It's like we can't do it without the other guys. It's like
right.
Like you're hearing a component that's playing off another component and then has to wait for something else to happen before this happens.
Totally.
So, you know, we'll just sit here and be silent for a minute while you can imagine somebody else doing what they're doing, and then now I'll put my little bit in and I'll duck back out again, and it's just not going to happen.
You know what's I feel like this is a fundamental thing happen. Like, you know how everything is getting more and more remote from simplicity in music. And I feel that maybe Gen X, maybe it's just us. Maybe I shouldn't blame Gen X, but
it's your fault.
You know, if somebody asked me like, hey, you know, here's a guitar, play one of those Mr. Bungle songs from the 90s. With the exception of Retro Vertigo, there's nothing there. I mean, there's a little part, and then another little part, but out of context, there's nothing happening. Like, you know, it's not that I'm not doing much. I'm doing a lot on the guitar, but out of context, you're not going to recognize any of it. You're certainly not going to go like, oh, I know that song. Like, no, it doesn't work that way. It's orchestrated. It's like taking a Sibelius, you know, Second Symphony, and like, you know, saying, here, play the second flute part. You know, okay, well, I'm going to just be sitting here resting for 130 bars, and then it comes in. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense this way. The Boomers had a different thing going. Like, they were coming out of folk music, and they would, like, the whole thing is carried by the guitar, and then you could sing along to it. Like, we destroyed that entire like folk tradition and took things back to this kind of fucking arid, abstract, classical diction type of thing. I think. You know what I mean? Like, we really reimposed we abstracted things away from the instruments once again, took it out of the hands of the folk tradition, relied on the big ensemble to be able to pull it off. That's just what happened.
Yeah, created your own new paradigm.
Well, it's an old one. I think ours is rooted in like late 19th century kind of, you know, even our tonality is very late 19th century, early 20th century.
Yeah. And I guess to quote Disco Volante, as above, so below. What's old is new. What's new becomes old. It's all very cyclical, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's like that is an old, you know, it's an alchemical adage, comes from the Emerald Tablet of Hermes, I believe. But the lead up to it is very different on that lyric than what's on the Emerald Tablet, because it says, "Here to paradise they go, brighter made is their woe, as above, so below." So it's kind of inverting the thing. It's more like saying "as below, so above" type of thing.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's saying, yeah, paradise. If you go to paradise and your woe is made deeper, brighter, stronger, you get more sad. What kind of a paradise is that? As above, so below. It's hell. It's depicting hell. So yeah, it's fucked. There's a reason it's called Merry Go Bye Bye, right? You know, it's also talking about a suicide. It's
Yes.
dark, you know. Mr. Bungle is very dark usually.
Yes, many a trauma throughout those records.
Yeah, we have lots of issues, us guys.
Hey, but that's art, right? That's art.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess in our way we were dysfunctional as people towards each other, which we've now made a lot of progress on. But it's interesting to see the way some of that stuff comes out. You know, you're not communicating directly, but stuff is coming out through your. It's like you plugged up the reservoir, the psychic reservoir, but it's coming out in your art, right? I mean, it's kind of a problem. You know, it's a problem that fucking broke the band up, to be totally honest with you. But in the end, it's also part of the process of growing. And you know, we're still friends. We've reconvened, and there's a beauty to, you know, having made it through all of that too. That's to me the best part about being in this band now is the fact that, you know, the friendships are real. We're not fucking hiding, you know, our feelings from each other. We're not, you know, the resentments aren't like building up over here and then, you know, coming out in music over here. None of this bullshit. There's a lot of bullshit in art, is what I'm telling you. I mean, you know, and we're as guilty of it as the next artist. One of the reasons I embrace this era so wholeheartedly, even though the goalposts are musically much narrower than they were before, is because the train is on the fucking right track for once. You know, it's very things are fleshed out. Everything is discussed maturely. You know, it's pretty great. It's pretty great. I'm very happy to have my friends back. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's awesome, and it's all to our gain and benefit as well. Trey, it's been absolutely awesome having this chat with you today. I think I could chat with you for hours, days, years, and still wouldn't get everything out of you that I'd like to talk to you, about. But yeah, again, thanks for being so forthcoming, having this chat with us today. And yeah, I'm going to be counting down the days to you here.
Got real. I got real with you. I don't always do that. I'm usually given just the media interview, you know, but I have this feeling like, okay, I can get real with this guy. That's all right.
Oh, that's absolutely honored, my friend. Hopefully we can chat again in the future as well. But otherwise, I'll be up front, staring at you and the rest of the band with googly eyes. Can't wait.
Where are you going to be?
Brisbane.
Oh, in Brisbane. Okay, cool. Brisbane. I know some people from Brisbane. I've been to Brisbane a bunch of times. No, 3 times, not a bunch of times.
Well, the 4th time is going to be the best.
It's going to be the best, right? That's what they always say, right? 4th time. It's supposed to be the 3rd time, right?
Yeah, that's the old charm. We're under the new 4th charm these days.
Yeah. It's like it's the afterlife, right? It's after all the other stuff happens. Very 4th record, right?
Hey.
Right. And it's our 3rd time to Australia, but it's my 5th time to Australia.
All right. Well, that just kind of screwed the numerology part of it up, but
yeah,
we'll stick with 4. We'll keep 4 going.
Yeah, 4 will eventually change to 5 for sure. Rest assured.
On to the next episode. Well, another thing I can't wait for.
There might be one. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll hit up Bear and Danny and see what the hell is going on with those guys.
Sorry, I just saw we were getting messages that we need to wrap it up, and I honestly don't want to, but I guess we both have our lives to get in the way of our lives as well. So I can't thank you again enough for this opportunity to have a chat, and really hope we can do it one more time, if not many more in the future.
And hopefully you'll get to say hello in Brisbane. We can say hi then.
Oh, dude, that would be also, and likewise, amazing. Well, you have a lovely day, and see you in Brisbane.
All right, man. See you then.
Catch ya.
Bye-bye.